Welcome to Hoboken Talks. My name is Stu Chirichella. We are live today, live from the Hoboken Museum. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I'd like to thank Bob Foster once again and his good partner Rand, who's handling all the production on this, for keeping and preserving our Hoboken history and doing a hell of a job while they're doing it. Tonight I got a special guest who needs no introduction to a lot of people, but for the new generation of people that are watching this, they can get a glimpse of a man who was probably a big influence in turning boys to men, put it that way, and putting people on paths that maybe they would have never been on in their life if it wasn't for the discipline that this man instilled in them day in and day out for decades in the city of Hoboken as one of probably the most successful coach in the history of Hoboken. Please help me welcome Ed Stinson. And I'm just going to start off, Coach, with a quote from one of your kids. Nobody laugh at me. I got glasses on out there. This is from one of the coach's players. Coach Stinson is a very special person. If you didn't know him, you would have thought he came from wealth and had an Ivy League education. He's the definition of world class. His ways to live a full, productive life should be in a book titled How to Be Successful for Dummies. His structure, time management, and accountability were off the charts with consistency. One of the few honest men I know, along with my grandfather. His knowledge of the game of football was incredible, and if every Hoboken-born athlete would have went to Hoboken High, not Hudson Catholic, not St. Peter's, no disrespect to them, along with the players he had in the 80s and 90s era, and everyone would have just listened to him, he would have never lost one game in his high school coaching career. He is the Bob Hurley of high school football, and if I had a father like that, I'd probably just been retiring from the NFL. He is truly the GOAT of high school coaches and how to live a clean, healthy, successful life. That came from Jerry Rajovich.
Wow, that's impressive.
That came from Jerry.
That's great.
You know Jerry holds you in the most highest esteem, and he sent me that. When I asked him, I said, Jerry, give me a quote about the coach. That took him maybe 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And he got that right back to me. So
Very talented guy, Jerry. Always was.
Jerry told me numerous times how you influenced his life and how, he just loved playing for you. He like you said, he looked at you as a father figure, like many kids, like many young kids in town did.
Yeah, well, and Jerry had a difficult upbringing, and he was basically raised by his grandparents, who were old world people, great people, and it's not easy to grow up in the streets sometimes. There was a little bit of a, an age relationship difference there, and although it was a healthy home, it was not your, mom and dad situation.
Yeah, yes, true. So, obviously, the coach is born and raised in Hoboken. One thing we have in common is a love from Hoboken. I grew up in the 70s. Coach, you grew up in the 50s in Hoboken. What was kind of like growing up? What was Hoboken like back then for a lot of people who don't know?
Hoboken, I think a lot of the young people today, the kids of school age, don't have the opportunities that we had. And by that I mean neighborhood. I think that, kids today, without getting into the lecture mode, are more a sedentary society because those are the things that are out there for them in an entertainment fashion. We had to more or less create our own environment, and it was playing ball, all the time. As the seasons changed, we changed sports. I was just talking the other day to someone, if you didn't have a stickball bat, then you used a broomstick, and if your baseball lost its thread, then you taped it up, and those kinds of things. But I meet more and more people, and we talk about neighborhoods and the amount of kids and the opportunities, and that we thought life was normal like that, but retrospectively, it was the greatest way to grow up, because you kind of alluded to it a little bit before. It's what, the city and the environment here helps you build the character that you ultimately will be.
And without a doubt, I would say, I don't think you would have probably been the kind of coach that you were if not growing up in Hoboken, because it gives us, it's just a special bond that we have. I remember you guys grew up in the 50s, 60s, kind of the same way. I think our generation was kind of less in the 70s and 80s because things started changing. We were in the street, did 3 different sports, and it was just the camaraderie that we got, the love that we had for each other because we saw each other every day. Like we often say as old school Hoboken people, man, I walk down the avenue, I won't see nobody. You know what I mean? Like we were kids and the town was ours. It was an unbelievable time we had. So just the relationships that, you got that camaraderie with your friends. You brought that to the football field. There's no doubt. I believe it was you coaching your friends on the football field probably half the time. You probably seen likes and personalities as all the kids you grew up with. So that's the connection you have with the Hoboken kids, no doubt about it.
You know, I often say, you know, I taught my own kids the same way I taught the kids on the football team. You know, it's a matter of what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. I often say that, you know, in life, ultimately, you get what you deserve. And I think that's really profound when you look at it in depth, that there are no shortcuts, and it's not always the person who's got the most talent, but the person who has the most desire, drive. And that was when in our football teams. I mean, you'll get me off to that. You know, I would talk about times, hey, listen, I'll tell you about our football team. You know, we won't always play well, but we sure as hell beat a tougher team. And, you know, most of the time that's going to get you through. And then when you have the talent, as we'll talk about in this hour, then you order the rings.
Yeah. And I love you alluded to that because, you know, one of my favorite quotes we were talking about before the podcast was when you walk into the weight room, you know, destiny, when preparation meets opportunity. And there's no, and we'll talk about me trying to play for you later on, but my life had to go the way it went, so I'm the man I am today. But like, that was the main thing that deterred. I wasn't ready for the preparation. I wasn't ready for that type of lifestyle. But I've seen the kids that stood the test of time with you and the way their lives have changed. It's really unbelievable. But we'll get to that. But and another question is, like you said, you played 3 different sports when the seasons changed. How did this love of football come about? What was it? You hit somebody on the field? What? Throwing the ball, catching it? What was it?
You know, ultimately, probably that's the difference. You know, the one-on-one battles, the sacrifices, you know, that you have to make over the course of a season, and it brings out you know, I have to give a lot of that credit, bringing that out in me, as you so graciously say I did with you guys. Coach Askley's, I mean, he was a force for me. He was a young guy when he took over here in 1962. I was a rising sophomore, and you know, he would never be accused over his great career of being the greatest X's and O's guy, but he can get you to run through a wall.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, you know, piggybacks on what I said before about toughness, you know, the motivation, the will to win. And you talk about things in the weight room, you know, for years and years, there was a classic there, you know, the champion. While we all have the will to win, the champion has the will to prepare to win. And, you know, preparation today, and I'm still in the game, you know, they say, well, when are you going to start the season? Well, football the season never ends. It just changes form. It goes from, you know, the field, the season temporarily ends, but then you get into the weight room. I won't delineate all of that, but that's what modern athletics is about.
Yeah.
You know, it's about the off-season training program and how you can become bigger, faster, and stronger, because ultimately, you know, with the proper motivation, as I just said, that's what winning becomes about.
You had a note there from your grandkid, love you, Pop. It just showed up on it. Look, it came back again. The GOAT.
Yeah.
GOAT, love you, Pop.
That's my guy. That's my guy, Nick. He's the oldest. He's 22, and you know, he still lives in Hoboken. Most of us are not in town, and he's still here.
Alexander Rosario.
Oh, wow.
3. Coach made a tremendous impact in my life. Class of 1986.
Wow, thank you. Frankie.
Frank Costello here.
1980 state champion, he is.
That's right, Frankie. Great to see you, Coach Stinson. This season brings back great memories. This session, brings back great memories. I will never forget the times we had. We are the champions. And to Coach's grandson actually beat me in a baseball championship, so I got a little resentment. Yeah. But that's all right. So let's just talk about real quick childhood. Like initially, you don't go to college, right? So what's that like for you now? Now you know, do you want to play football in college? Is that what's happening? You graduate high school. What's the situation?
Well, yeah, I graduated and I didn't go to college right away. I went to night school. My mother said, "You're going to college." You know, that's the way that's going to be. So, you know, so I got into college, and you know, football was there for me to play, and you know, and I did, and majored in English, and became an English teacher, and all that. You know, Jersey City State, just was a great refuge for an awful lot of us who didn't initially go to college or didn't get to the college of their dreams, but got their dream fulfilled in getting an education, playing football, and just having a good experience. And, I often thank Coach Jack Steffens, who's passed from us now, for that, because so many of us, otherwise would not have gotten to jobs. I mean, ultimately became the principal of Hoboken High School. But for that, going through that Jersey City State program, me and so many other people wouldn't have had a professional career with great health benefits, pension, and the type of lives that we were able to provide for our families.
My dad actually ran track up there in Jersey City
Your
State.
dad could fly.
Yeah, you remember my
Oh,
dad.
Victor,
I was going to ask you that. I'm glad you said
no.
that. I'm glad you said that, yeah.
No, I
well,
know
that's
Victor.
that's where I got my agility and love for sports in the beginning. My father
Yeah.
taught track. St. Francis Church at the time.
Yeah.
He had the track team. The whole city ran under one banner. And so that's how I met everybody from the projects and from
Yeah.
different areas of the neighborhood. And
Yeah.
it was awesome. And then I walked to PAL practice at 10 years old with James Bugs Bates, the whole crew. I met them all through track. So it was awesome. And like you said, my father got his degree. He had all types of medals, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was Jersey City State, well, definitely the savior. So what position you play, Coach, up there? What were you playing?
I was a tight end. Yeah. Fortunately, I became captain in my senior year and made all NJAC, New Jersey Athletic Conference. So, in total, it was a great thing to happen to me. But perseverance, once again. I didn't initially go to school. I worked at C-Train when it was in Edgewater, and Mom said, you're going to school. And so the rest of it fell into, Jersey City State was there, the opportunity was there, and
I mean, at one point, did you just feel like, I'm going to be working the C-Train, the rest of what am I doing here? Like, if it wasn't for your mom pushing, you think you would have went?
No, I don't think so. So that with the opportunity that existed. I mean, they didn't always have football, by the way, at Jersey City State.
Yeah.
They only instituted football in 1966.
St. Peter's College always had it, right?
Well, St. Peter's was I'm not sure about that. I don't know that they were ever a varsity team. They were a club football team for a while. Yeah.
So what was I going to tell? What was I going to ask you? So Jack Stevens obviously gets you involved with coaching, correct?
Yeah. So
That's how you start coaching, college?
Yeah. After
First coaching job?
after I graduate, he offers me a position on the staff to coach the secondary, and again, a man that I met and had great experience with for those 4 years. So it was an awesome opportunity, and so I got my education on the defensive side of the ball, and even with that, I have to say, it's. Like I would tell young coaches, hey, I'm not going to give you anything. You got to take it, because that's the route I went, and by that I mean, Jack was the head coach, and I would signal in the defenses, but he would be calling them to me in words, and I'd be signaling them in. And then after the second year, he wasn't always there, and then a short time after that, he wasn't there at all. So it became, handing the opportunity over to me through the efforts that I had in a supervised way.
Coach Stinson coached me back in the late 80s. He helped me become the man I am today. Love you, Coach. Thanks. Miguel Concepcion.
Miguel Concepcion.
Miguel had filmed how many games? He did, right? Holy moly. He was always down at the field.
Yeah.
In the center filming all the games. That's right. That's right. So where are we going to go? I wanted to go to, all right, so here we go. We're making our way to Hoboken now, right? So you finish up, late 70s? Coaching up there in Jersey City?
So
did you coach every year, or you took off a year or whatever in between before you came to Hoboken, or you coached?
Coached at Jersey City, and then I coached at William Paterson.
That's right.
In 75 and 76. And then in 77, the first tenure, my first time in Hoboken came available to me. I was 30 years old.
Who was the coach?
Who was the coach?
Who left?
Alan Stratton.
Okay, I didn't.
He was
That's
a
one thing I
PE
didn't
teacher,
know.
yeah.
couldn't
Coach
get
with
that
Coach Ascalise.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
When I played here, yeah.
Yeah. So you come to Hoboken High. What's the squad looking like?
It's looking like this, Stu. Much like the debacle I got in 87.
Oh, yeah.
So in 77, I come in, and they're coming off a strike, teacher's strike.
That's right.
They go 1-20, because that ripped through the opportunity. The coaches were teachers first, and the kids suffered as a result of that, as they always do in a strike. And ultimately, as I said, the job came available in '77, and I picked it up and ran with it.
So you got the team, so you start building. Obviously, there was some talent coming on. You had Lee Lyons there, Anthony Mickle, two guys who all speak highly of you. Two guys are doing great now in the community.
Yeah,
some older guys.
yeah,
Vinny Johnson still coaching,
yeah,
right? He played for you back then also.
Those guys become the first really successful team. So '77,
Junior Milne,
we go
right.
Junior Milne. So that's all going to get to where I'm going here. So in '77, we go 2-6-1, and then in '78 we go 4-4-1. And now with the guys you're talking about in '79, we go 10-1. We get to Giants Stadium in '79, and we lose the state championship in '79. That crowd moves out, and then next year, Anthony Mickle's group, we win the state championship in '80. But yeah, they're Louis Taglieri.
Louis Tag. Louis Tag, yes.
I went down to Lewis's house when he was at Hudson Catholic. He originally enrolled and was a freshman at Hudson Catholic. And again, I wasn't in Hoboken coaching in '76 when he did that, but I knew of him, and as you know, everything that's going on in Hoboken. And when I got the job, I sat in the living room with the mother and father, and I said, I'm going to take care of your boy. Let's bring him home. And they did.
And Louis went on to be coach and got the field named after him also when you left.
Louis, yeah. He spent 10 years in the Air Force. We communicated. He came back. He went alternate route to become a teacher. Great military, foundation, straight up guy, tremendous asset. And when I left, because he had said along the way, when you go, I go. I'm done when you go. And he tried to recruit other people to the position. And then he felt like he had to take it so that it didn't lose what it had.
Yeah.
And they went 12-0 in the first year I was gone.
Yes. Who were some of the other coaches you had? Who were the assistant coaches you had? Who did you have come?
Well, what was great about it was that over the years I had many guys who played for me, so they understood the system, the time commitment. Most importantly, the time commitment. Joe Rotundi was a great coach for me.
Joe, another coach is still at prep for many years. Offensive line, defensive line.
Joe is a super offensive football mind.
There's our main man right there before we go back to Joe.
A bunch of crazy kids in '87 and made us winners. So,
Dennis, I got to tell the story now because you jumped in. Here's my last practice in '87. I'll just say the story. Coach Jake, rest his soul,
yeah,
is fighting with Joey Fallow. I yell over. I throw a helmet at Coach Jake. Dennis breaks it up with Coach Dom, who's long passed away. Coach Dom is. Yeah. I was just talking to Freddie Brown on the way up. How I miss Coach Dom. Forget it. And but I was in a bad place in my life. This was nothing to do with the coach. This was nothing to do with what was going on. Coach was whipping his team into shape, and I will get to that when we come back. But I just had to say that to Dennis. I know Dennis is home laughing right now. And Dennis was the quarterback that year. Yeah. It was actually me and Dennis warming up to work to be the quarterbacks, but I didn't have it. Yeah. Dennis was taking the job easy. But, I love the Milne family, and David just got in the Hall of Fame, too, also. The Hoboken High Hall of Fame. They just put that in, which was nice. But back to Joe, sorry. Laughing my ass off. It's a great time. Dennis!
Yeah.
The coach, Dan, he got us.
So many of them, right? So Joe Rotundi, great offensive mind.
Yes.
He's really the backbone of the offense over at St. Peter's now. Played on the state championship team in 1980. The '79 team as a sophomore, he started on that team, and he wasn't a big kid, not even after his senior year, which I wasn't there for. I left and go to Park Ridge, but tremendous staple. Mike Jacobson, Coach Jake, heart and soul.
Rest in peace,
Another
Coach.
guy.
Love Coach Jake.
No
By
doubt.
the way, listen, it's like me. I love Coach Stinson. I loved Coach Jake. Me and Coach Jake, how many times we laugh? I used to see him in LBI. One time I'm seeing a guy come out of the water.
Yeah.
Coach, what are you doing?
Yeah.
We talk all the time. We used to have good times,
Yeah.
man. He was so funny, man.
Got a house in LBI.
Yeah, he was out in Manahawkin or something, right? In LBI, Manahawkin, LBI, I think. Yeah, I used to see him all the time.
Yeah.
Great guy.
No doubt. So Jake and Dom, Dom. I call Dom the Pied Piper, because on two levels, not only kids followed him, but adults followed him. And he was just a tremendous, humble guy, And they also called him Coach Pump. He led that weight
he
room.
loved it. He loved it.
We ate weights. I mean, that's
He
the other
loved it,
part of being a tough guy.
Yeah.
Today's world, if you're not doing that off-season program
Yeah.
I alluded
Yeah,
to without
sure.
defining, and you're not in there kicking ass with the weights, and I want you on my schedule.
Yeah.
You know, that's the
Yeah.
way that is.
And I'm glad you said that, schedule. Talk about how tough the competition was back then, too, Coach, late 70s, early Norbergens, and
Yeah.
the rivalries
Yeah.
were, like, unbelievable back then. I mean, games are packed. You weren't even getting a seat at these games.
You see, and that's to your point before about, growing up in Hoboken. Well, growing up in Hudson County now is different.
Yeah.
There is no HCIAA as
Yeah.
such.
Yeah.
There is no Hoboken North Bergen.
Yes.
They don't even play together
No.
anymore.
No.
And all that. It's destroyed. They play kind of independent schedules based upon what metrics I really don't know.
Yeah.
But that's all gone. The same as neighborhood, is gone as we grew up and
Yeah.
and loved every bit of
Yeah.
that.
Just to flash forward a little bit, you're saying that. Do you find, obviously, I would say, the Catholic school league now where you're coaching gives you that little juice again? Because you pretty much got some tough games coming on every week because you're playing all the Catholic schools only. You have some pretty tough games, no?
Oh, pretty tough game.
Now.
All right, so let's talk about
Yeah,
this
that's
league
what
a
I'm
little
saying.
bit, all right?
All right, you tell
So-
me. You tell me.
So I'll tell you a few things. I'll tell you that not from my mouth as making the news, but reporting it. It's very possibly the toughest high school league in the country, from top to bottom. Are there some better teams here, better teams there? But when you go 1 through 10, it's the toughest league in the country.
You'll never retire. You love this.
So, do you know where Seton Hall Prep, where I coach, do you know where we open the season next year?
Where?
Come
Ireland?
on, play with me a little bit.
I know, Ireland?
Ireland.
I heard.
We're going to play in
Ireland,
Ireland.
that's awesome,
So we
man.
want to talk about evolution of
How's the team?
football.
How's the team in Ireland? You scout them? You got tape on them?
No, we're going to play a team from Tennessee,
Oh, in Ireland.
In
Okay,
Ireland.
okay.
and it's Baylor High School from Tennessee.
Wow.
They're returning state champions.
Wow.
Kid by the name of Muschamp is the quarterback. His father coached there. Was the
heard
head
that
co-
name,
yeah, his
Muschamp.
father was the head coach
Yeah.
at Florida and a whole bit. So it's
Will
the real deal.
Muschamp? Will
Muschamp's kid.
Yeah.
When I coached at Bergen Catholic, we played in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Bishop
awesome.
Gorman, we were on.
awesome.
So this is how this league gets that way. So we're on ESPN
Oh, this is big time.
nationally. So
Well, you should be.
yeah, but
Well, you
I'm
should
saying,
be.
so why do kids then
Yeah.
gravitate to that? For those reasons, for
Without
those
a doubt.
reasons.
Without a doubt. That's awesome. I got to talk to Billy. Maybe I can get on his island trip. Who's that? Mike Casarani, coach. If I only had you as my coach for 1 year, I would love to have been on the Green Bay Packers. God bless. Cavs high story. You know Mike Casarani?
Oh yeah,
That's the Cavs.
oh yeah,
That's the Cavs. Okay, so here we go. You win a championship.
Yeah.
Right? And then what happens? You skedaddle.
I skedaddle.
Tell the truth. Was your talent depleting or what? Or you just did it? See, I know why you probably left. I know. My father used to drive us out of town in the 80s. We're moving out of here. Hoboken was, might I say, a scary place to live back then. You have daughters, young coming up. I get it. Maybe you want to move, change the scenery. The town was rough in 1980. So I like to hear a little bit of both, I would say. But go ahead.
All right, let me tell you. You really, you set the stage. So here's the deal, right? So you said the town was rough. So when I went to high school, to make it was to get out of Hoboken.
Exactly.
And so the time you're talking about, you couldn't give the property
Exactly.
away in Hoboken.
Exactly.
So the idea, I had 4 kids, and the idea of moving out of town was to give them a different and a better environment at the time.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding what I said about Al growing up here.
Yeah.
Remember, I also was the vice principal at the high school, which wasn't the most popular guy in the world, right? But that was typecasting, just like with the
You were more
football.
popular than Charlie Tortorella. Don't worry. Go ahead.
Well,
Charlie, how you doing, buddy?
in any event. So yeah, it was about that. But the best thing that happened to me was I couldn't get out. I couldn't escape. We had gas lines at that time in 1980. We had gas lines. We had interest rates went to 19%, the whole bit. So I commuted. I went to Park Ridge for 4 years. Then I went to Pascack Hills for 2 years. And then I was blessed by coming home here in 1987.
So Park Ridge, Pascack Hills, what was that like? Now you're going to coach a totally bunch
Yeah.
of different kids.
Yeah.
These aren't inner city kids no more.
No,
You got out. You still got suburban kids. How were the parents and all that? What was that?
Well,
What was that experience like?
there was a tremendous difference between the two. The Park Ridge kids were more workaday, oriented. The parents, whereas and it was a relatively affluent community. But Montvale is where Pascack Hills is. And just to give you an analogy, like back to school now, it was a car show in the parking lot, that kind of thing. They were good kids too,
Sure.
and I learned by that experience. I certainly learned in the Park Ridge experience, but I was very fortunate to come home.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we go back. So now I got to ask you this one. Now your brother's there, right? He's
Yeah.
coaching. So he's been coaching how many years prior to you coming over there? At least 5?
Well,
4 or 5 years?
Well, as the head coach?
Yeah.
No. Well,
He was assistant?
first of all, I was able to hand the job to Mike Jacobson. So Michael had it for a couple of years, and my brother had it, I guess, I want to say 2 maybe,
Okay.
85, 86. I think he was the head coach for 2 years, yeah.
Your brother was blessed with ball plays. Like Dennis just came in. Dennis's brother, Mike,
Yeah.
ought to be the best quarterback that I've probably ever seen 12 football. And the guy, Mike, was a little taller than me. He just had a cannon. He was like Doug Flutie. I believe your brother took him. Didn't he take him to work out with Jim Kelly one day when Kelly was with the Gamblers, I believe?
He definitely had a connection
I think he took him to the run and shoot, with the run and shoot
The
option
Mouse
again.
Davis,
Yeah.
the architect of the run and shoot.
Yes,
Yeah, he
yes.
did.
They had awesome, teams. Passing game was tremendous. And everybody, what happens is they all go. You come back the next year in '87, and then you had us guys there, a bunch of young. We were kind of young group. I mean, I was supposed to be a senior at that time, but I wasn't. I didn't play football prices my freshman year in Hudson Catholic. I was just lost in the wind. I could never play with those guys because I went down one time in '86, and your brother was in the room with a few people in the room. They said, "You're not even passing the class. Though. How are you going to play?"
You're passing a lunch.
I was even failing gym, I think, at the time. But anyway, long story short, you come back. How does this happen? How do you decide? Your brother, what does your brother call you and say, I'm leaving? What, you want to come back? How did that come about?
My brother had, some issues that he needed to deal with, health
Okay.
issues in the family, and certainly the hours that people put into this. That's another
it's a
thing
lot.
that I talk about.
Yes.
People think you magically show up on Friday night at 7 o'clock, and it happens. There's certainly an imbalance in the amount that you have to put into it. But unapologetically, I mean, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
So he has those issues that require his time and attention, and he has an excellent season in '86 with guys. You need to mention some more of those guys.
I'm sorry,
Anthony Morris was a player.
Larry Shanklapour, Tommy Kennedy, James Bates, Mike Milne.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, if I'm leaving anybody out. There's a ton
Amato.
of them. Oh, Danny Amato.
Great football
Even
players.
Nip, Anthony Gilliard played that one year.
Great
They had a good
football
team, man. They had a good defense, good offense, threw the ball like you wouldn't imagine.
Yeah,
But they were great.
Yeah, they did. One time he threw the ball 66 times in a game. Now, when I come back to Hoboken and run, you're gonna laugh, right? I come back and run the ball.
That's why you had Jerry Rogers. Boom, kick him through.
Rommel of the desert, So it was a ground attack.
Total opposite.
But,
Total opposite.
But another line with that is officials wanted to come and work for me because they could go to Arthur's for a steak by 9 o'clock. If they worked for my brother, they had to go right home at 12 o'clock.
That's all due to the players. You had some running backs back. We'll talk about that again now. You had to forget it. You had it easy. But
Yep.
let's go to all right. So here I remember this. Let me just tell my little part of this now. The little opportunity that I had. The last years I was on the football field was probably part of organized sport. This was 1987, August. I remember you came late August that year. I don't know if you remember that. You came late in the season. The season was going to start in about 3 weeks or a
How
month.
about I got the job August 18th?
There you go. So I remember this. You came, and what's the game? September what? First week September?
Yeah, in
Second
September,
week?
yeah.
So Coach Jake's here at the time. You come in, you take the top spot. And I remember you looked at everybody, you said, everybody give them equipment. We had no equipment. We had bright shit pants. So nobody even got no knee pads. And here's what our camp was that year for you guys going out to camp, having a good time. Our camp was in the Hoboken High School gym. Do you remember what we ate every day?
Jimmy Farina provided McDonald's for breakfast.
3 times a day
Well,
we had McDonald's.
I can't let you say I can't let you say that because my family cooked.
Okay, I'm sorry. You know
Lunch
what?
and dinner.
You're right about that. They did come
Yeah.
into the side. I remember that in the gym. Yes, I did. I apologize, guys.
My mother-in-law, father-in-law, my wife, my kids helped out as well. Yeah.
Everybody did help out. I'm sorry about that.
That was the only way we were going to get that done. I mean, it had to happen.
tough.
August 18th, I got the job, and we were in camp in a flash. And to put that together, to even ask them to do that, and then, to put our sanity at risk, with you guys sleeping in the gym,
Yeah,
which is a story in itself that you're going to get to.
I'm going to give you this story. This is the best.
Yeah.
We're outside, and you can only imagine what 17-year-old kids are doing with partying. And I come back in, and I leave 2 other players outside locked out. And I said, let me go check. I'll open the door for you guys. So I'm laying down on the mat laughing. So I said, I can't leave them outside. I go get the guys. And we walk back in. The lights go on. Oh, no, I don't want to curse. It's Coach Stinson walking. He's not even looking at us. His head's down his way. He goes, get to the field, get your equipment. We're going to start running. This was midnight.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 in the morning. These guys are doing laps around the field. Oh,
Put the lights on.
we were bananas. This wasn't an easy crew to deal with. I mean, we were a bunch of knuckleheads at the time. It was crazy. But another story, I got him on the top of the rim. I'm smoking a cigarette on top of the rim. I climb up on the net. I go all the way up top. The coaches come out. Still, what are you doing? I used to be walking to practice in the morning, smoking a cigarette, going down to the field. My career was over at this point. Coach probably had me saying, we got to get rid of these guys. But like I said, my last practice, it was what it was. But I would have loved the opportunity to play for you. And years later, I actually did go up to you, if you remember, by the Little League field. And I apologized. I said, Coach, you know what, man? I wish I was more with it back then, because I love football. I could have learned a lot of football from you. I probably would have been coach. I coached Little League for like 27 years. I don't like baseball. I just enjoy being around the kids.
Right.
I got it from my dad, and with track and with football is my real love. But I mean, it is what it is. But I had to go the route I wanted to be the man I am today. There's no doubt about it. But you were definitely, and you were always. I was talking to my mom yesterday. I told you earlier today. I leave practice. Mom, call him up. I want to come back. Coach will let me back. See, he never threw me off the team. He let me throw myself off the team. He knew that this kid's going to go eventually. But he was always very, very respectful to me and what I was going through. And he knew I lost my dad a few years prior, and I was just on a bad run. But, what kids do at that age. And, thank God for him, because he was still a positive influence in my life, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate that.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. So here we go. What was it like? Who's this?
Ramon Estrella.
To you, Coach. Thank you for everything you've done for us. There you go.
So he plays in the 1999 state championship game in Giant Stadium, and he's got a cast on. Ramon Estrella.
I think I remember that.
He makes an interception.
I was at that
corner.
game. I was at that game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Is that when Falcom threw the double pass? They pitched one out to him on
That
the
was
side?
96.
That was 96. Wow.
Falcom was a sophomore
Wow.
when we
Wow.
snuck him in the game
Wow.
as the other quarterback. But Ramon plays with a cast, intercepts a ball.
Wow.
He played tight end for us. He's probably
Wow.
5'8", 160 pounds if he was that.
Wow.
And he's a great policeman today.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So you come along, right, and here's the team in '87. What was the record that year? I wasn't there, so I don't remember.
4-4-1.
4-4-1.
I can remember those things.
Is that Dennis's junior year or junior year?
That's
because he quarterbacked his senior year also, Dennis, right? That was
That's-
Dennis's junior year. He's a year younger than me.
okay.
Dennis, join in on that if you hear me on that. I believe he was a junior in '87, then he was a senior in '88.
88, we go to the state playoff. We go 8-2 in 88.
That's a 1 year turnaround.
Yeah.
That's big.
8-2 in 88, and then 89 we go 11-1, and we lose the Group 4 state
My junior
championship.
year, so he quarterbacked his senior year also.
Yeah. So then he quarterbacked in 88 when we go to the playoffs. As you say, a short turnaround. The team goes 8-2. It's because, they were great kids. They bought in the program. We had great coaches with no,
Frank
hey,
Totaro,
Franny.
legend. Franny, sorry, Franny. Franny, another one of your longtime coaches.
Oh,
along
Franny's-
with Chipper, along with TK, right?
Yeah. No doubt.
Is Franny still coaching? No, right? Franny's not coaching anymore, right?
No, Franny's dispatching here in town. I know that, and he does a couple of other things.
Right,
for sure.
yeah. And look at Chipper, how far he's come. Coach Chipper was up in Union City coaching. I just want to get another quote for you, Coach, here from another one of your players. Chipper was coaching for a long time, too, up in Union City. He did football also up there, too, didn't he?
Yeah, for a lot of years.
Yeah. Here's another quote. Oh, he wanted to ask you a couple things. We're going to go with the first one. He was the great motivator. He knew how to get through to you in as little words as possible. Failing wasn't an option. Keon Walker. Keon Walker.
I'm going to talk about a great football player.
I love
my
watching him
God.
on Saturdays. I'd watch him every Saturday, Keon.
That's him right on that picture there.
Yeah.
He's on the, I don't know how the viewers are seeing that, but he's to my left as I'm in the picture.
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was a two-time All-Big East player, a three-year starter, safety for Syracuse, a super kid, great on both sides of the ball.
Now, how many guys did he cover at Syracuse that were in the pros? Tons.
Yeah.
Tons. Played against the Miamis and tons of teams.
Big time football.
Where was that other quote? Oh, he was. See, you know what it said? See, this is bringing me to this because who was the most impressive student athlete you ever coached? Now, Keon also asks, so coach, if you had to start a team, who would be the first person you draft?
See,
before we talk about all these great teams, it's a perfect opportunity.
well, look, later on, they're going to put up all the scholarship players we had, right?
Okay.
So the same as I got 4 kids.
Do we have that? Do we have that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
every kid that was scholarship.
Okay, okay.
So you think that I'm going to say one is
I
better
didn't think
than
you
the
were
other?
either. I didn't think you were either.
Not
But
gonna-
if you had, what position would you start at? Let's go that way.
Well, all right, let's talk about the fact that
You're
you
a
know,
D- you're a D-
no, but the game is quarterback centric.
All right, there you go.
So, if you had to just go with our guys, then of course that would be that guy that went to Penn State.
Without a doubt.
Forgot his name.
Shaw Casey.
That's right.
That's the man right there. Also was a pro for a minute, right? He was in the pros.
He had
He was with the Jets, I believe,
yeah,
for a
he was
minute,
with,
right?
he was with the when Parcells was there. Yeah,
Yep. All right.
could have gone to any college in the country.
I love watching him play. He played on. I love him, Keon with Syracuse, Terrell with Michigan, Wilbur with Miami. A couple more. I know that without a doubt. Rayvon, North Carolina.
Super player.
Yeah.
Rayvon.
Yeah. Big,
Rayvon was,
big guy.
and like Keon, and Michael Forkham.
Forkham.
It seemed like our success was really based on a lot of things, but we fortunately would have a 6-5 or a 5-6 blend. By that I mean we'd either be bringing back 6 seniors or 5 seniors, so we'd be able to roll into the next year, and that was a major part of our success.
Jerry Rojovic, you nailed it, Stu. Coach Stinson, first camp speech I ever heard was number 1. I'm not your friend. I can care less if you like me. My job is to teach you football and prepare you for the next level of your life. Saddest thing is life, and when a player comes back to him 20 years later and says, you were right, coach. Wish I would have listened and applied myself a little more. And I've said that. I said that. But it's truth. It's the truth. And Jerry's the nicest, sweetest kid I know. Jerry's a nice kid I know. Jerry loves you to death, run through a wall for you. This kid, I can't say that. I remember him when he was on the Avenue living with his grandma and grandpa
Right.
there. I remember him.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Jerry was on the
Jordan
street.
Washington.
Jerry was on the street hanging out.
Yep.
So. All right, so we go to 90, right? What do we do in 90? What do we do in 90, 91, 92? What were them years like?
So 89, we lose the
89,
Group 4
sorry.
state championship. We go, but we're 11-1. 90, we come back with a junior class mostly, and we lose the Group 4 state championship to North Bergen 3-0 in overtime in
was
North
that
Bergen.
with Peterson?
No, 89 was with Peterson.
Peterson, right? Talk about that game, 9-touchdown game. When did he get that? Was
Well,
that 89?
Yeah, 89.
Peterson?
So Peterson scores. I take him out of the game.
Talk about not throwing the ball. We got a 9-touchdown game on the ground.
Well, how can you throw the ball? so with 7:15 to go in the third quarter, I take him out of the game for the rest of the game.
7:15 to go in the third
He had
quarter. He had 9 already?
Had 9 touchdowns.
Is that a high school record all time?
It was. He was tied.
Broke it.
He tied. If I knew at 7:15, I would have let him break the record. I didn't know.
Was it just a
that
regular
was.
season game? I
It
wasn't.
was a regular season game.
Yeah,
The kid
yeah,
just this past year from St. Joe's, Hamilton, broke it. The coach let him break it. He scored 10, 11 or whatever he did in the game.
Did they call you? Did they call you?
No, they don't.
They don't even know, probably. They don't know.
So 90, we have a great game. Overtime up in North Bergen.
So 90's really the start of it. Of course, you're the team of the decade in the 90s.
Right.
So 90, here we go, right?
Yeah.
What's your team looking like in 91, 92 now? Who's coming over? Now, is
90
that the year the field just went? Let's talk about
Fantastic.
let's talk about what you were playing on too back then. The type of field you were playing on. I mean, the field was miserable.
Well,
The field was rocks and
Yeah.
it was horrible. Hoboken High School was horrible for years. I remember playing Babe Ruth down there. I went to a boulder, my right hand, throw for a ball.
hey, these guys that are watching from the '80 team, they could tell
Yeah,
you.
them
we had,
too.
we had
Them too,
T-shirts.
yeah.
We had T-shirts that year when we went to Giant Stadium,
Yeah.
from rocks to rugs.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
That
Yeah,
was the saying
really.
on the shirt.
That must have been nice
So
playing.
in '87, I come back. There's no stands. '87, you talk about lawlessness. We played Emerson High School at Union City Roosevelt Stadium, no fans. They wouldn't let any fans in
Remember what
because
happened up
there
there,
was a
right?
problem,
Remember what happened
right?
there, right?
So I mean,
Yeah, that was 86.
There was some
I believe. 86, 87.
So the '87
No, it was
game-
87 when I was supposed to be playing that
Was
year. That was the fight
Right.
up in Emerson.
It was my first year back.
That's right.
I came back
That's
as,
right. I
as the
was
vice
there. I was
principal
there.
as
I was
well,
there.
and part of the administration, along with the Union City administration, that decided the game
Yeah.
would be played with no
I remember
fans.
that. I remember that. That was bad. I was involved. I was not involved heavy, but I was there. I saw
91.
I saw what happened.
Yeah. So 91, I think it was an upset. We got beat because that team that I alluded to that was predominantly juniors. They were
Who's
predominantly
quarterback?
seniors.
Who's quarterback? Mike Azaza?
In
Mark
90,
Taglieri?
in 91, no, Mark Taglieri is the quarterback in '89.
Okay. Mike in 90?
In 90,
Mike, where are you? Mike, you on here?
90, it's God.
Gotta be Mike.
No, it wasn't Mike. Mike was the next year.
Okay.
All
right.
Kid
so,
got hurt.
So whatever. Okay.
I should think of that. I apologize
I can't remember. I can't
for
remember.
getting a blank there.
That's all right. It's all right. Go. So we go to 91, 92? What do we do?
92 is not a good year. We don't make the playoffs, and that's probably the worst season overall. That we have in the span of all the years that I'm at Hoboken.
Did you know what was about to come? Did you predict it, or you were like,
No, it was
did you
part
feel
of-
like you were going backwards, or do you feel like you were heading in the right direction still?
Well, our enrollment was dropping, but we were playing the teams that you talked about
Tough.
because of the success we had prior.
Yes.
So we were playing up a little bit.
Oh, Gary Cuzzo. Gary Cuzzo was a quarterback. That's right.
Sorry.
Jerry. That's Jerry. Thanks, Jerry. Jerry said
Sorry.
Bob Milne, Gary Cuzzo. There you go.
Yeah.
Bobby. All right.
Yeah.
They texting me too on that? Gary? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicky Russo's texting me. All right,
Yeah.
Nick.
Deep
Nick, we were talking about your
apologies.
dad before too. So,
We don't need to hear about that, Jerry. Come on.
missed field goal. Don't worry about that. Come on. So now we go to, here we go. So we're building the dynasty now. We're almost there.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
93, we make the playoffs, and that's the start or the precursor, the prelude to what goes on from there. So from 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, in 6 years, the next 6 years in succession, we lose 2 games total.
68, 67 and 1?
67 and 1. We have two streaks, one of 38 games, and we lose that down here to Sims, you alluded to before.
Yes.
The only time he beat us. And then we go on a 29-game winning streak. We have 4 undefeated seasons. We go 11-0 in 95, 11-0 in 96. We go 10-1 in 97, 12-0 in 98, 12-0 in 99.
Unbelievable. And what year did Richard come? 94? Or 96?
Rashad was
You
back-to-back.
got Richard from Ferris,
Rashad-
right? You
No,
came over from Ferris?
Rashad went to Marist.
Marist, I'm sorry.
As a freshman.
Marist.
And he came back after his freshman year. And 93, he started for us as a sophomore. And then 94 and 95 was when we went back-to-back
Yeah,
state champions.
I think he lost one game up at Prep, right? You guys lost one game at Prep.
We
When
lost-
Paul Q and those guys were playing up there,
In
right?
those 2 years,
Yeah,
yeah.
he lost that one game at Prep. Yep, I remember that. I was at
But
the
that wasn't that was the game after that prep game that we lost.
Going on the streak.
Then that's when the streak started, right? And we lost that. We lost They won the state championship that year and beat Bergen Catholic in Giant Stadium.
That's right.
They went undefeated. They had a great team.
had a good team.
We lost 14-7 at their place.
Did anybody come close? Any coaches come close to this record? Who? Anybody in the vicinity? Or no? In that time span?
You know, I mean, that's for other people to say.
How about,
I mean,
I'm saying with the record itself. 5 championships in the 90s. The record itself.
you know, 4 undefeated teams, you know,
Yeah.
but for that overtime loss that breaks the 38-game winning streak to a great football team with, you know, the Sims kid at quarterback, we would have won the 68 in a row.
I'm going to tell you a story about that game. Remember they had the extra bleachers?
Sure do.
And I'm in my neighborhood, and anybody knows downtown Hoboken knows what downtown Hoboken was back then. I'm walking to the game, and I'm grabbing a door, which is a door to a club. I'm grabbing a door, and my hand is on the door, and I'm watching all the people go down to the field. And I'm like, holy shit, this game is going to be packed. I let my hand go off the door, and I walked to the field. They were raiding the club inside it. Good thing I didn't go into the club. Forget about it. I would never saw the game.
Holy moly.
Great story. I had to say it. I didn't want to say it, but I got to say it. It's history. What are you going to do? So Chris Sims, which is Phil Sims' son,
Right.
which the coach was alluding to, beat them here in Hoboken High. But the year prior, the coach beat them up in Ramapo. And, you know, they got even. They came down here. He got it. Chris was good. I mean, this guy was tough.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, he's a pro ball player. Playing for the Bucks. Guy was phenomenal. Lefty quarterback, tall.
Yeah.
He had a good
They're
arm
sweet.
on him.
The lefties are sweet.
He had a
No
good
doubt.
arm on him.
Yeah. Hey, you know, the other thing is, we lose the 2 state championship games that we lose in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we win 5. The 2 we lose both of them in overtime.
I know. That's tough.
So those games could have fallen either way.
You ever think about anything you could have did different in them games? You say, man,
It's always
why
on
did
me.
I just
There's
get
no
that
doubt.
play right there? I had that. Why did I just do that? But
No
listen,
doubt.
the formula worked, though, Coach. I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, you're not gonna get it. It ain't gonna be. It was perfect for a long time. You know what I mean? It's tough. It's tough. And like you said, like you had so many. Like I see from me saying rather, you had so many great players, but you brought the potential at them. Like Keon said, the massive motivator. You know, you bring it out. The coaches got to bring it out. I don't care how good they got to buy into what you're selling. You know what I mean? And you definitely, you know.
Well, Keon was another one of those guys. I started to talk about, you know, super softs. He played as a sophomore. Falcon played as a sophomore. That special kid. Coach always said it's an open-air classroom.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
No, one of my favorite ones when you used to say to Michael Purvis, we don't have any rented car superstars here. Talking about OJ. OJ, right? That was classic, man.
Yeah.
So what was your most fun team, Coach? You got to have one of them. You got to have one of the most fun teams.
I don't
One
know.
you enjoyed more than any other one, no?
That crowd in the early 70s, you know, those kids are coming off strike and, you know, not really having, you know, much opportunity to learn football. And so the group that grew into the 80 state championship, you know, those 4 years in there, you know, we got a good influx of the Pop Warner kids. That's another thing that made this thing rock,
Yes,
too.
yes.
Because even
Yes.
after I left, after the 80 season for 81, that's when Michael Milne and that crowd went to St. Joe's.
Yes.
If I stayed here, I would have done the same thing with
Yeah.
him that I did with Louis
Yeah.
Taglieri.
Yeah.
I'd have been in their living room.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Minervini. Did I say Milne?
Rock. Yeah, you said
Rocky.
yeah, that's right. Rock and Mike.
Michael.
St.
Michael was
Joe's.
the quarterback,
Yeah,
right.
Michael's good too.
And Cardella as well was a hell of a receiver.
Anthony,
Tommy Aligo.
Yes, they all
Tommy
went up
Aligo.
there.
They all went there. So they then would have,
Frankie Palmisano, all them
they
guys.
would have followed the 80 team.
Yes.
Then Milne would have followed that, and then we hook up back at the other side of the 80s.
Yeah.
So
And Michael Moe only went for 1 year up there. They only went for 1 year. Michael Moe. They did go to St. Joe's and they came back. They went there their freshman year to St. Joe's. And then they came over. Did you
Milne.
know that? Yeah. Mike
No,
Milne
they-
and Anthony Morris. Yeah, they played St. Joe's freshman and
Yeah.
they came over. Yeah.
great players.
Yeah, without a doubt. Phenomenal, both of them. Let's talk about people real quick. Let's talk about, just give me something. I'll say the name, you talk about him. Rayvon.
Rayvon, you got to have him on the show because he's never.
I want to get all those guys. You know that, Coach? We had to do that with all
Yeah.
the guys.
Yeah.
You with the guys.
Hey, I tell them this too. You
Yeah.
bring up a point. I tell them this. They don't celebrate their accomplishments enough.
True.
I don't know that they realize. Now, you started to it before, but I'll put the words in somebody else's mouth because it came out. Jim Haig said this will never be duplicated again.
I believe it.
And they did it.
I believe
They did it. And they need to have reunions
Yeah,
and celebrate
absolutely.
the things that we did. But Rayvon, he never met a microphone he didn't like. Cool. And he could play. He scores a touchdown in Giant Stadium in 1996. We run we put the ball on the fullback. We give him the ball going off tackle around the end, and the kid goes like this, and he hits it for 80 yards. Now the game's on TV. The TV guy goes, radar couldn't catch that kid now. That's in 96. We talk about, so hey, listen. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go to the next
Raymond,
one.
you want to talk about Raymond anymore? No.
No. I want to go to the next one. I
Let's
don't want to
go.
interrupt
Let's
you.
go to Rashad.
Rashad Casey. Okay, so Rashad Casey would make a bad play, a good play, and a good play, a great play. There were no bad players with him. He made it. He was a super athlete, could have played any position on the field that he wanted to. He went to Penn State to be in an environment that would prepare him for the pros. That was his choice. But he could have gone to a different kind of an offense. He could have gone to Nebraska.
Yeah,
they were flying in their offensive coordinator every week. And he would take, he'd take a limo to Hoboken, talk to him, and go back. Anywhere in the country, He and Wilbur was another one. Wilbur Valdez, the scholarship that Wilbur Valdez had to Miami when they were the U has other significance to it. They got in trouble with the NCAA, and so the year that he was offered a scholarship, there were 25 a year. They only had 12. And they recruit nationally. So to be offered when you only have 12, that's a hell of a compliment.
And then Miami, right? He hurt his shoulder, right, Wilbur?
Well, he had hurt his shoulder in high school, and and then he did that again. But
how about my boy Chris Patron? Another good player for you, right, Chris?
the horse.
Chris,
Horse. That's he and Peterson in the same backfield.
yeah.
Two scholarship players
Peterson,
in the same backfield.
Yeah. Chris is still involved. I think he was still coaching down by him for a little while. Who else we got on there? You talked about Wilbur, Keon, Rashad, Rayvon. We talked about Keon?
Well, all right.
We'll talk about Keon. Get a little more on Keon.
So, Keon, as I say, he played the will linebacker for us. He could cover, he could blitz, he could play in the interior. But I talk about the run that Rayvon made in that game. In that same game, TV, he makes a run that he gets whacked at the line of scrimmage,
Keon?
spins around, puts his hand down, gets whacked again, gains his balance and scores. And that's all build up to say what the announcer said. That may be the greatest 12-yard run you'll ever see. Unbelievable balance. He could run away from you. He could make you miss. And obviously, from that description, he could run over you.
Of course, Tyrell. What about him? Other beast.
TV.
I remember, I'm going to tell you this about Tyrell. I was getting married to my first wife in 2000. I'm going to the tuxedo shop. And I go in the shop, and there's a guy putting a jacket on. It looked like a grown man. And I walked in, and I said, holy moly. It was Tyrell. He was 16, getting his prom jacket.
Yeah.
What was he squatting, 500 pounds? Tyrell in high school?
He did things in the weight room that were unbelievable. And still today, I don't think people can meet the standards. Power cleaning more than 315 pounds. And I do not exaggerate.
Jerking. Like this, you're talking.
We felt like if you're working hard at what you're doing, it's going to be gains before it became the science that it is today. And it is a science today. Power clean, squat, deadlift, the core lifts that we did. And it built toughness, it built strength, and to an awful large degree, it built camaraderie.
Yeah. What about, who else we got? How about talk about Jerry? How about Jerry Rodgers?
Jerry could kick with either foot.
He's a beast.
Jerry could kick with either foot. Jerry was, a guy who could serve as the entertainment at halftime, just to go out and pump the ball and let people view that. He was that good. The other thing is that, and we didn't throw the ball, but Jerry was a great athlete. He would have been a great receiver in terms of statistics.
Absolutely.
Had we thrown the ball more. He played on the defensive side as well. The hidden yardage in football. Oftentimes, you're watching a game and there's going to be a transition, either a kickoff or a punt, and you go grab a soda. It's the hidden yardage. It's yardage that becomes important in terms of. Because, I've given talks about, how football is like a game of war, acquiring and giving up territory, and ultimately, being defeated, or conquering. And Jerry could turn, the field position around for you.
Jerry in '94, me and my brother were running a deli on Washington Street. He comes down, he's got the ball, Come on, I'll show you. I can still kick a 50 out of the field. Get out of here. Go down the field. I'm holding the ball on the 50 for him. He's kicking it through like nothing.
Yeah, no,
It's
he
unbelievable.
gifted.
Unbelievable.
Jerry Raljovic, gifted.
So what happens? Why do you leave Hoboken? What was the story? That was it? 05?
Yeah.
Earlier, was it 05? 04?
Well, it was, the last football season was 04, but
How'd you do your last season? I don't remember.
we went to the state championship in Giant Stadium, and we lost 6-0.
Last season,
to,
right? 04?
To Cedar Grove, yeah.
But still playing heavy competition at this time.
Well,
No?
you say that.
Did it get a little lighter? Did
Well,
it get a
here's
little
the
lighter?
real problem. When you describe the program that these guys will all join in on, it wasn't for everybody. And we kind of held the standard for everybody. This is the standard. And at the time, it might not be a good getaway today, but at the time, and in this environment, it was my way or the highway, right? So now, here's the real problem. In 1990 is the last year. We played North Bergen in the overtime game, we
Okay.
lost there. It's the last year we were a Group 4. By 2000, we were a Group 2. By the time I leave, we're a Group 1. Football is a numbers game.
yeah.
Hoboken High School opened in 1962 as a Hoboken Senior High School, 3 grades. At one point within the last 10 years, it was housing grades 7 through 12.
Yes.
Today, it's a Group 1. And, we had to go out and utilize school choice in order to have a football team.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a matter of to have a football team that was of championship caliber. It was a matter of having a football team.
Yeah, just to have
so
a
that
team.
12-0 team that I left here in 2005, there were an awful lot of school choice kids
Yeah.
on that because it had to be or there was going to be no football.
Yeah. So you go, you leave, where you go? What do you head to?
I go to.
I know where you go, but tell
Yeah,
everybody.
I go to be a full-time coach at William Paterson
Yep,
University
remember that. Yep.
in 05, 06, and 07. And that's a great experience. Division III football. The greatest thing about it is the kids are there because they want to be there. There's no scholarships,
Yeah.
no glory like that. It reminded me of Jersey City State, what I went through at that time, because you want to do it. If it's important to you, you get it done. And if you want to do it, the opportunity's there. And had 3 years of that with good kids. And then I went to Queen of Peace as the head coach in 08 and 09. And, that was an experience. Certain things didn't happen that I thought were going to happen there. And so in 2010, excuse me, I coached at Hackensack. And then in 11 and 12, I went to Bergen Catholic to be the defensive coordinator there. And then in 13 and 14, I went to
Did Hanson ever call you?
St. Anthony.
Did Hanson ever call you? Want you to
Did
come
Hanson
over
ever
and
call
coach
me?
with him? No?
No. See, that's like, could I have ever gone to North Bergen?
Yeah, I don't
see, those things don't,
I don't think so.
those things don't work.
Seeing Old Prep is a good choice.
Those things don't
So
work.
Billy, I know we're running out of some time. I want you to talk about your wife and everybody. Billy speaks very highly of you. There's quotes in there, but Billy, Billy loves you. It's great honor for him to have you over there. He's a great kid. I know you must love him as a coach. Talk
yeah.
about, what's it up, bud? All right, Rand?
Yeah, you're fine.
Talk about Billy for a second. As of right now, you're coaching, if people don't
Yeah,
know,
I'm
coaches
defensive
at Seton Hall
coordinator.
Prep.
It's our 6th year at Seton Hall Prep. And
What happened on the sidelines a few years ago? Tell them that story with the
No,
ribs.
let's talk
Holy
about,
moly.
talk about Billy
I remember
Fitzgerald.
saying, go.
So Billy coached against him when he was in high school at St. Peter's, and he was a really good quarterback at St. Peter's, and then he went on to Union College, very smart. And after college, he did a couple of things, but then he became the offensive coordinator at St. Peter's. And
That's right. I remember he
yeah,
left
so
there.
he built his opportunity to go to the the parochial level, and he called me when he got the job and asked me would I come and be the defensive coordinator, and I was really happy that he did that. It gave me an opportunity to get back in the game. What he's shown me over the years is the model of what a young coach should be today. He's probably 42 years old. This is his 6th year, so he was in his mid-ish 30s getting the job, but well-schooled along the way. He'll never break a rule. He's a faith-based young
I was just
man.
going to say that.
And that leadership just resonates from him. So the person is really the coach, but he's an offensive guy that's the best I've ever worked with for a young man. He's the best I've ever worked with. And not only his knowledge, but under pressure, he's cool. He's absolutely cool. Game on the line, and we've had a ton of them. One drive to win the game, he's absolutely the best.
And Billy's, the only time I see Billy is on Sundays. I see him in church. I
Yeah.
talk to him coming out of church. That's it. I wouldn't
Yeah.
see him no other place. He's, living his life.
Yeah.
Some ways. But yeah, I talk to him when I'm coming out of church all the time. Great guy. Loves you. Talk about your wife, the support you had over these years, your family, your girls.
Yeah, I told you
grandkids.
that I wanted to make sure
This is
that
it. We got it in. This is your time.
I
This is your
get,
time.
I
now.
get these guys because the truth of the matter is, there's a couple of other things I need to say with that if they're going to
Sure.
give me these minutes, all right?
Sure, we got it.
So-
We're good, right, Rand?
Yeah.
We
Cool.
did we run those other things? Did he run the streak and
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's
championship
can
players?
we
and
bring
all
that up, Rand? Can we bring that up?
Absolutely, yeah.
Here we go.
So is that in the high school?
That's Coach's Hall of Fame head coach right now.
Oh yeah,
What other rings you got there, Coach? What are they?
No,
Six-time state champion?
yeah. So that's the same ring. So Lou Taglieri got behind giving me a surprise dinner, and with that, this is on a plaque, and he had Jostens do this ring, and a whole bunch of guys came, and this is the culmination of my time over here. But I don't know about some of the other things if you're going to run them or not.
You have the scholarship players?
Yeah. Okay, so that's 79. That's the
Right,
first
right,
year we
right.
get there, and we lose that game. But we're on our way.
Coach did the cardiac kids.
We're
There we
on our
go.
way. That's Joe Lucignano, my brother-in-law,
your- yeah?
Dominic's
Is that
brother.
your- yeah?
Right
Oh,
there.
wow.
That's the 80 team that won the state championship. They went 10-1. That's the score of the game. That's the shot at the end of the game. That's the 94 team. That was on a 10-game streak after it was a 10-1 season. We had lost to.
It was Louis Torso. Oh, Louis. We forgot to
Louis.
talk about Louis. Oh, sorry, Lou.
Well, let me say one thing about Louis then, all right?
Yes, please.
All
Say
the
it.
other guys,
Say it.
somehow things just fall into place.
Yeah.
And he's going to know I'm saying this now. Give me one player for one play. Give me Louis Torso. He's a winner. A winner.
Love it.
So it's not the play, it's the player. So yeah, so that's the back-to-back. Again, no, that's the three-peat. So that's 96. That's 95, number one team in the State Associated Press from the Asbury Park. And I got to talk about these two guys.
Okay.
Mo DiGennaro was the athletic director in that time.
Good man.
And by the way, we had other success going on at the time. Gene Sparta with basketball and Buddy Matthews with baseball.
We'll get Buddy on the show.
We were rolling. Charlie Tortorella couldn't have a better boss. He believed that athletics was an integral part of the curriculum. He believed that football, if it's successful, as ours was, can carry and motivate the student body in a positive way. He understood those things. Great man. It's a little bit out of order, but that would have been the repeat, so that would have to be 95. Okay? That's 96. We were number one in the state in the Newark Star Ledger, and that's the Star Ledger Trophy being, and that's the epitome of high school football in New Jersey, the Star Ledger Trophy.
Nicky
That's-
said go another hour, he said.
That's-
It's Mike.
that's me and Mike Forkham.
I talk about Mike. When you talk about Mike, holy moly.
Okay, so Mike.
1 second
Forkham.
on him, right?
Let's
Right,
go to
yes,
96. Mike
yes.
Mike is super soft. So Mike's a quarterback, but he's super soft, and we sneak him in the game. Early in the game, we're running the ball down the field, and we're running a sweep action, and so we run sweep pass. So the play looks identical to sweep, and then he pulls back, and he throws that into Chicky.
Yes.
Chickadee throws a perfect pass down the field and gets crushed as he gets hit. A great kid, great player, played on both sides of the ball, kicked extra points for us. Today we have more of an expert clientele that does those kind of things. But he did everything. Super soft, Mike Forkham, great player. That's a 99 team. By the way, the teams that we beat along the way, this 99 team, 2 years in a row, we beat Wayne Hills. Both years they come in undefeated with really
right.
good
That's right.
football
Yeah.
teams out of Bergen County. Really good football teams. We beat them 14-7 in '98, and this game, we crushed them. Terrell Dortch had 281 yards running the ball. That's their statistics, not mine. And the kids played great defense. They had the number one running back in Bergen County. His quote was at sometimes, and he meant it complimentary, sometimes I thought they were playing with 12. So, yeah, that was super.
There you go.
Yeah, so we won 7 county championships in the '90s. You know, kids were super, and then, we won the 5 state championships in the '90s, and could never forget.
What were you ranked in the country at one time?
Yes, in '96 we finished the year in USA Today number 10 in the country at the end of the
state,
season.
obviously, one in the state.
In '96 we were number 1 in New Jersey.
Yeah.
We have that on our rings of '96. We were number 1 in New Jersey and number 10 in USA Today.
10.
In a mile square town,
10 in the country.
10 in the country. Kids were great. So that's a recapitulation of that's part of my coaching overview that I've written, and that's the front page of what our kids accomplished in the '90s. 7 conference championships, 9 tournament appearances, 9 championship games. The 2, as I said, we lost in overtime. Won 5 of them, and then the number 1 rankings in the state, and that's the win-loss record. But again, when you can do things with numbers, but to me, it's awesome when you say you lost 2 games in 6 years.
2 games.
So they were great. That was the streak.
There
That's
you go.
the 38-game win streak, and then it gets snapped 3-0.
Who was painting it on the wall in the locker room? Who was putting it up? Somebody was painting it every game?
Yeah, that continued. But the locker room itself, I mean, coaches did all of that stuff in there. It was great. And even my girls came down and helped out with that, putting the stuff on the walls and things like that. Generally over the Christmas break, because we would then be going into the winter season, into the weight rooms. Yeah. Well, these are the scholarships. These are the scholarships. The first one I had was at Park Ridge. I'm not going to go down all of them, but the one thing that makes you proud about that
That's 27 scholarships for everybody looking at it now. Unbelievable.
is some of the big time names that are on there.
Talk about Joe Radigan, my cousin.
Joey Radigan wound up being made all East as a punter. Joey Radigan and Jerry Raljovic were gifted in that. Joey didn't kick; he punted only, but he was the Big East, punter, and another guy who could flip the field for you.
I'm sorry, Carlos Perez.
Carlos Perez.
He
was with the Eagles. He played at Florida for Steve Spurrier, the Heisman Trophy winner, 1966 quarterback. Yeah, he did. Ira Guilford was a tremendous running back.
That's right. Ira went out to
Ira went to
Ohio
Ohio
State.
State.
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
He was
Wow.
out there with Claret.
Wow,
and
that's
was
right.
playing.
Maurice Correct. Yeah.
I mean, these kids were tremendous. Even Chris Willis.
Chris Willis.
He was-
Chris, my man.
Yeah.
Give me
So there's
one,
not a
I
name on.
hope.
But let me say this again: the school deserves the district deserves a tremendous amount of credit. I just lauded those 2 guys, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how, guys like Mr. Kiley, Jerry Kiley, who was the supervisor of math, and Mr. Savano, Dennis Savano, who was the supervisor of reading, would come in at 7:15 in the morning to tutor all of these potential scholarship players so that they would be legitimate scholarship players, which was going to be my concluding statement with that. We never had one academic casualty. Where a kid was ineligible to get a scholarship because he didn't have the criteria set by the NCAA. And Jerry Kiley and John Sevo in guidance was tremendous with the kids, in handling their academics. We put together an academic profile. I mentioned Keon before, just like with others. We identified guys early as scholarship players and made sure they were in the college preparatory curriculum and that the grades were where they needed to be.
And don't forget, I know you had a hand in it. Hoboken High got cleaned up. Hoboken High was rough in the late 80s. I mean, the school itself, inside the school, it was out of control. You
Yeah.
guys did a hell of a job of cleaning the school and making it possible for these guys to fulfill their dream. Because it would have been tough for them in the 80s being in that squad, I'll tell you that. Because, everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's following, so. But you did a great job. Anthony Enriquez, I saw his name on there. I forgot Anthony. Another one.
Yeah, Anthony, both sides of the ball, and, he had to go a more difficult route. He had to go to a prep school to get things in order. Anthony, he kind of got cheated by life a little bit because when he came to school, language difficulties, those kinds of things. So Anthony didn't get his 4 years of high school football because the age expired him before his time in school. But fortunately, we were able to connect. He went to prep school, and prep schools are breeding grounds for guys to get college scholarships. So he got his that way.
And still helping kids, still coaching. Still coaching Little League and all that. Still helping.
He's coaching at Hoboken. I was just inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there you go. And what now? Did we leave anybody out? Do you want to speak about anything else football before you go to your family?
I'm probably leaving something. I just, you know what?
Any other player? Who would you want to be as a player? Who was the one kid you saw him? I said, I like this kid. If I was a player going to college, this is me. Who was that? Who would you see yourself in most? Put it that way. Of any kid.
Of our kids?
Yeah, who would you see yourself in?
I didn't have 1/10 the talent these kids had.
Who would you want to be?
None.
Who would you want to be? Louis Torso. We'll go that way. How's that? Okay, Coach, talk about yourself.
So again, putting all this together, I mentioned before how my family got involved. August 18th, we put the, that camp together and all the things
Eddie
that they did.
Voltron. Read that one.
Voltron. First, let's talk about your leftover. He's mean.
Eddie.
He's mean. So, the team, the support, when you're in football, and again, people might say, this guy's a little over the top, but it takes, you don't shut it off when you walk in the door. It's not a light switch, right? So being vice principal and then also, the football and the time and all that stuff. So not the best of characters, but a great supporting cast at home. So I have 4 girls, and Stacy is teacher in this district, for more than 20 years. She has a master's degree and just does a great job in the classroom. My number 2, I have to talk about them like, Charlie Chan's number 1 son, number 2 son, number 3. So number 2 is my daughter Marie. Marie Stinson Wade. She's a partner in the law firm of Kenny and Stinson. And they specialize more or less in real estate and personal injury. Number 3 is Kristen Stinson Scadisi. She has an MBA,
Gabe's wife, right?
CPA.
Gabe Scadisi.
Gabe Scadisi's wife. He's great son-in-law as they are.
Good man.
And she's a partner in the Whittam company and just got finished with tax season, so she's getting back to normal now. Erin is Dr. Erin Stinson Diaguardi, and she has taken the job as the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Staff Development at the Prospect Park School District.
So not only a great coach, great parent.
Well, and then there's the
About
boss,
that, yeah.
the leader, the one that stirs the drink. My wife. It's only 53 years, so we're getting to know each other. I don't know why she would stay with me, but she's asked herself that a number of times. So my grandkids, we mentioned Nick.
Marie, I'm sorry. Great interview. Your daughter. Love you, Dad.
Oh, wow.
I can't see. Sorry, Marie.
So we mentioned Nick, but there are 3 others. There's Logan. He goes to Wayne Hills High School. Ironically,
Okay.
have him walk around all the time telling people that my grandfather beat you twice for state championship. And then we have Ava, his sister, and then we have the little guy who had his 4th birthday on April 6th, Gabriel Edward Scadisi.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. Well, maybe he's coming up. Maybe you got to stick around for him.
Yeah, why not?
You got about 6 years. He's in Pop Warner. That's all. It's not that long. You never coached PAL, right, Coach? You never coached PAL, right? Pop Warner football?
No.
Right.
No.
I mean, anything else, Dad, you ought to go. This was awesome. Great. I'm glad they're liking it.
Yeah.
Anything else? What do you got? I mean, we could wrap
I
it.
don't know. There's just so much. I can't underscore enough how it was a perfect storm, great kids,
Stacy.
great
Hey,
opportunities.
Stace, absolutely amazing. Simply the best. Love you.
You know, great opportunities to be with these kids, to have the type of flexibility I had within the district, and the talent that they had. Unbelievable, unbelievable, and it just kept coming. So,
How's it-
coaching staff.
Let me ask you this:
go
how does
ahead.
it compare with Seton Prep? How's talent level?
These guys are better. These guys are better. You know, I'm talking about the top of the line guys.
When you mean these guys, who's
Yeah,
these guys?
the-
Hoboken guys?
The Hoboken guys.
All right.
The Hoboken top of the. Our guy, hey, listen, we compete in that league. We don't have the same dudes. Our guys don't go to Notre Dame. They go to Amherst, Yale, Columbia, Harvard, and which is great. But we don't have the dudes that go to the schools that that these kids have gone to.
Right. So
So
I think with that, Rand, I mean, Coach, I like to thank you personally. I love you.
I'd like to thank you
I
for
appreciate it.
inviting me.
No, I appreciate
And
you.
I like what you do for people. You know, we have some friends who treasure you greatly because of what you've done for their family.
I appreciate that.
It's the truth.
Hey, piece of it from you. Discipline. Discipline.
You.
So with that, guys, Rand, take us away, my friend.
I'm gonna take it away. Give me a
Good job,
doing
Coach.
with it.
switch the microphone.
Oh, 15.
And, all right, so, thanks, guys. That was, another fantastic show. We had probably one of our best audiences tonight, so, as far as numbers are concerned, so that was just fantastic. I'm Rand Hoppy. I'm the collections manager here at the museum. I'm the producer, director of the show. Coming up on Hoboken Talks, we've got Elena Skye, and going to be talking with Jack Silbert. And stay tuned for who we're going to have after that, because we're still setting up some scheduling on that. We'd like to thank the New Jersey Historical Commission for all their support. They provide us with significant grants, so that's your tax dollars at works, and we really appreciate it. We also get funding, particularly for our exhibit downstairs right now, from the New Jersey Council for the Humanities. They're another great state organization. This is the Shipyard Circle, our top donors. You'll see that a number of the top donors are some trustees. We welcome all our volunteers and those who volunteer to be on the board. And we love our donors of any stripe. We'd love to thank Iron State. Iron State is our top donor, our main supporter. We thank them every day. They have donated or give us our space here where we operate. Come here and check out our exhibit downstairs, The Fires from Hoboken, 1978-82. It's curated by Christopher Lopez, opened in January. It's going to go for the whole year. It's kind of a important record of that time here in Hoboken. That's pretty unforgettable, and if you were here then, you'll be reminded. And if you never heard of it, then well, come and see what was going on in Hoboken at that time. Up here in the gallery where we're sitting right now, we have some beautiful watercolors by Patrick Neal. A lot of them from the Shipyard Marina, and that'll be running through May 14th. We tend to focus on our YouTube channel, so we welcome comments. We would also love it if you would like our videos and share them with your friends, subscribe to our channel, take our notifications. We're kind of looking forward to growing that side of our operations here at the museum. And that's it, Hoboken Museum, Historical Museum, and another great episode of Hoboken Talks. Thank you, Stu. Thank you, Coach. And we'll see you again soon. Take care.